Hello everyone, Nick Trevor back again with a review for House of the Dragon, Episode 5. And we're about halfway through, we are halfway through this season, and my goodness, what a season it is. I'm pleasantly surprised at how good this show is. I'm really enjoying it. With that being said, I'm going to get right into it, because this was a really good episode. Anyway, we open with a few shots of the Vale. We've been to the Vale before, but we haven't seen these parts of it, so it's cool to see, new areas. Maybe not new setting entirely, but new parts to a setting that we've seen before. Awesome stuff. Anyway, we see Daemon's wife. She's riding along. We see she is a competent hunter, skilled rider, right? Her cousin asked her if she would like any company on her hunt today. She's going to be hunting deer, right? She says, no, I got this. I'd rather ride and hunt alone. So we're setting up that she's pretty competent, pretty badass. She seems pretty badass. Very attractive, right? Well, she goes out riding and she runs into Daemon. And Daemon, without saying a word, confronts her. And, he approaches her horse, startles her horse. It throws her from it, paralyzes her, seemingly. He then proceeds to step on her arm, kind of looks like he's testing if she's paralyzed or not, the whole while that she is taunting him. And it seems like he's going to just leave her there, paralyzed on the ground, to die, because, right? But no, she starts calling him a craven, and that she knows that he couldn't finish the job. He turns around and smacks her head in with a rock. We don't actually see the act, but we know that's what happens. And my goodness, this is just more of seeing there aren't any lengths that Daemon won't go to. There's no line he's willing to cross. Any line. No boundaries, right? Anyway, next we have the king on the way to the Driftmark. We see that the king's very sick. He's puking over the side of the boat. We're also introduced to his hand, who was a new hand, replacing Sir Otto Hightower, Lord Strong, who was the former Master of Laws. And so far, he seems like the one character with decent advice and decent human being, right? Next, we have Otto leaving the Red Keep, and it's pouring down rain. He's leaving. His daughter comes out, and she's very upset. Could you wait a moment? I don't wish to see you go this way. And he calls her out, basically telling her that you chose Rhaenyra over him, herself, their house. And that she's, claiming that the princess swore up and down that she didn't tell, she was telling the truth. And tells, her dad that he hadn't have been pushing so relentlessly for Aegon to be heir. And in this moment, he's accusing her of making a mistake, but then, she throws it right back at him. Maybe if you wouldn't have been so relentless in your pursuit. There's a great pause right here, and I think it happens a few times in the episode, and this is excellent stuff. He then lays down the hard truth to his daughter about the reality of the situation, and we see them really both break down, and a wide range of emotion come from the both of them. He's sad and anger. His anger, for the decision that has put him in this spot. Also, she's, afraid. She's sad and realization of what is actually going to happen. And he tells her that, if Rhaenyra sits on the throne, there will be a problem in the realm. There will be war. They won't let it happen. It just won't happen. And that the fact that there is a male heir, it's going to cause a problem. And that she needs to see it. That's the situation that they're in, So as, he's leaving, we see she's distraught and picking at her nails again, but then she quickly pulls herself away. I think I like this kind of stuff where they do subtle storytelling, where you see just small bits of growth, where, she has been a nail biter and chewer this whole time we've seen in these episodes, and the kind of growth of like restraint, even if it's not on the nose, like it's better if it's subtle. Like it's good stuff. Anyway, we have a new location, which I'm super stoked to see. We got Driftmark and High Tide, the High Tide Castle, which is only accessible during low tide, which is awesome. It's just an awesome concept for a castle. I really enjoy it. And the presentation, outside and in, is just fantastic. So we see the king leading up to the castle, and the king, even out off of the boat, you can tell he's very ill. Like there's something very wrong with the king. He's covered in sweat, and it's not going so well, even on land, right? So when they get up to the castle, there's no greeting party. In fact, they're greeted with the sea snake's son, the gay snake, we'll call him, and his lover, and no one else. It's just them out there crossing swords. No pun intended. Anyway, King's pretty he's not actually upset. His hand's upset. The king doesn't care. He pretty much says, let's just get on with it, to the whole thing, right? Because he's obviously not feeling well. So back at King's Landing in the Godswood, we see the queen and the Lord Strong's son with the club foot. Now, this character we've seen, he's sat in on the ladies' gossip more or less. That's his role. I mean, he's no great warrior. He's just gonna hang around and, I'm sure, reveal everything he can to his father. That's probably his main role, right? So anyway, he begins talking to the princess about what's been going on with Rhaenyra and the whole controversy of her sneaking out and the brothel and everything. And he asks if the princess is okay, if she is unwell, because he saw that the Grand Maester had delivered her the Plan B tea the other night. Now, he doesn't know what the tea was, but either way, a late night delivery from the Grand Maester, obviously she's not well, right? So, as he tells this to the queen begins to piece this all together. You can see her adding things up right on her face. And again, really like this actress. It's kind of a shame that she's not going to be in the show anymore, because really enjoying her performance. It's really good. So now we have the king meeting the sea snake, and the sea snake does a little power move, making the king come to him as he sits upon his throne. He's still slighted by the whole business last time when the king, turned down the hand of his daughter. And the whole business of the king being king, and not his wife, who was the queen who never was, right? He still feels that there's a great injustice from this. So anyway, the sea snake tells the king of Lady Rhea's death, Daemon's wife. The king quickly changes the subject to the reason he's there, the betrothal of his daughter to the gay snake, right? The sea snake validly asks some questions, like the succession, their last name, and all of this, and you gotta respect the character. Again, I can't say it enough. I keep saying that he's awesome. Like his integrity, his determination, his, again, he even says it himself. Did I overextend my boundaries? No. Like, you stand up for yourself, stand up for your house. Like, these are good qualities, Anyway. The sea snake agrees to the king's terms. That being that they have the name Valerian, as in the Westerosi custom, but once the heir takes the throne itself, the heir will take the name Targaryen. So it's a compromise of sorts, right? And the sea snake agrees to it. We get this cut in with Rhaenyra and the Gay Snake, her new husband / cousin, discussing their different tastes and how they can both serve their realm, or their houses and their realm at the same time. That they don't need to, they can have their cake and eat it too, basically. This is what the proposition is that the princess has to the Gay Snake. We next have a scene between the Sea Snake telling his wife that he wants justice and, explaining the whole situation, that they're putting their son in danger. Like, this is going to be a problem. Like, no matter what, the king is going to die. Like, that is going to happen. And when that does happen, it's going to be a question on who will be next. No matter what the king said, with so many different viable heirs to the throne, it's going to be a problem. So, agreeing to this betrothal is really just putting them in harm's way, putting their son in harm's way. And you can see that his mom doesn't want to do that, which is, and the fact that she's put the whole throne thing behind her, that she no longer even cares, that it's more so his pursuit of justice, and wanting to see his own house prosper. I mean, that is definitely a big part of it, you can tell, right? But it's just a great scene between two characters who, again, just seem natural. None of it seems forced. It's good. Then we got back to King's Landing. Princess and Cole sailing back to King's Landing. And Sir Criston Cole comes to the princess and basically wishing to elope with her, And, she's like, no, don't give a fuck about your oath and your honor. Who gives a shit? I'm going to be the freaking queen. Like, you're crazy to think I'm going to give that up. And he is. And, it's kind of sad, the whole true love thing. And, they could have some, he has besmirched his own honor and broken his oath and stuff. Oh, whoa, that's terrible. But, I guess he mustn't feel too well about being the queen's whore, right? But obviously, she's like, no, don't give a fuck. You should just be my man whore. Let's go back to King's Landing. I'll be queen. Rule on high. And he can't handle that. And he storms off. It's a great scene. Again, there's a few long pauses where, I really enjoy it when characters are explaining something to another and we don't have the character who's giving the explanation. We have the one who's receiving it, and nothing but their reaction to what the other character's saying. And this happens a few times in this episode, and it's good stuff. I really like it. I love it when they do that kind of stuff. So we are back at King's Landing, and the king, he's getting out of the carriage, and he stumbles. We see the queen up on the terrace watching as this happens. He stumbles out of his carriage, and when this happens, she gives a startle. But the camera cuts back around to her face, and you can see she's just cold and calculated, knowing that, yes, her dad was right. The king's gonna die. It's right there in plain sight, and it's time to prepare. So it's, again, this actress, I love seeing it. She runs the whole gamut in just a few moments, and there's concern there, yet you see it on her face that she's, maybe not, It's good. Anyway, next we have the queen summoning Cole. And again, great scene. We have the scene start with the queen holding her baby. And it seems to me, and I don't know, maybe I'm just the only one who's noticed this, but the children that the Viserys and Alicent have had, they don't seem like happy babies. They just seem like they're always crying or upset and just overall not happy babies, right? Doesn't that usually mean something when they get older or a bit mixed up? A little bit of foreshadowing, perhaps. We'll see. Anyway, Queen summons Cole, and yeah, this is great. So she dismisses her help and the baby, and she sits Cole down. He sits down, and then she stands up. Nice little power play again, and she begins to question him. And her questioning is brilliantly done. She does no accusing. She doesn't actually say outright what it is she's asking, but without doing it, without it seemingly trying, she causes him to completely spill the beans, confessing everything he's done, confessing to him and the princess's sins, and everything that happened, without explicitly saying. But again, we have a great scene of just right up on her face as he tells her everything that happened. And we get her reaction. He requests a pity and a swift death, and she just dismisses him. Tells him that he's free to go. He's good to go. Go on, you can leave. Which is interesting. Again, she's far smarter than she lets on. She's playing this very well. She knows what she's up to. Anyway. It's just brilliant stuff. We see the king is very ill. He's laying in a bathtub, and he's got his arm stretched out, and it is just grotesque. Awesome makeup job. Looks terrible. He's absolutely wasting away. We see that it's gone all the way up his arm. Looks really bad. And in this scene, we have an exchange between the two maesters. One of them saying, "I'm going to go fetch the leeches," and the other one saying, "Oh, shouldn't we do potions and a specific cocktail to help him?" And again, this is very interesting because in the book this is based on, this is deviating from it. But in the book this is based on, it was always kind of alluded that the maesters were up to no good, sabotaging House Targaryen, and because of their affiliation with Old Town and the High Towers, in their own interests. So it was implied, and I like this kind of vague implication here as well, because it could be interpreted either way. Maybe the leeches are the best thing for the king, and he does seem to bounce back. But the fact that they would have this in there, and that you could possibly question whether or not the maester's intentions are to heal the king or not, it's good stuff. Just, I love it. It's subtle. It's not on the nose. It's good stuff. I love it. Anyway, then we have the king kind of asking Lord Strong, his new hand, about his legacy, and about what his legacy means, how his legacy meant nothing. No great strife, no great crucible, no great test that he had to be put through. And what is interesting in it's Lord Strong's response is that many men who have been tested only wish at the end of it all that they had been spared. And this is a great response, and it just shows that, smart character, smart writing, and a true person's response. And I like the way the king responds back to him, is that, hey, most king's helpers would have told me I would have been the second conqueror to arise if I had had a true test, a true crucible. And it just kind of, it's driving home the fact that he's had bad counsel, and that, Otto probably has steered him wrong over these years. And, as the king says this, he just took, I assume, his milk of the poppy, like morphine, during these times. And he kind of lays back and drifts off. And then it cuts to a sky, heavenly clouds, and cloudy, sunny sky. It's clearly we all thought he died. It couldn't easily trick the audience into thinking, oh, well, that's it, he died. But no, it's not what happened, thank goodness. And it's just, we have the Valyrian fleet sailing in, and along with the two dragons, which I assume, which is the two children of the sea snake on their dragons. And it's cool to see the dragons again. This medieval fantasy, high quality medieval fantasy, good stuff. Loving it. Could use more dragons, but I'm sure that's coming. I guarantee it, because it is ramping up. So anyway, as the arrival of all the houses show up, this is for the wedding. This is the welcome feast for the wedding of Rhaena and the gay snake, and we have different houses showing up in the. This is a great presentation. I love the decked out hall, all the costumes, the music, everything. It's so well done, excellent, just excellent. And then Daemon shows up. First we have House Lannister and a bit of an exchange between them, the king and the princess. And it's very amusing because the king and the princess are just rolling their eyes because the Lannisters are just that pretentious. And we get the announcement of the Hightower family coming in, all dressed in green. We'll watch that now. And then we see Daemon shows up, and Daemon, the whole place is silent. This is just fantastic. And he's all smiles walking up, which is also fantastic. I love this entrance. It's just beautifully done. And the king, remember, he exiled him. So it's kind of surprising, but at the same time, you can just tell the king's tired. He doesn't want to fucking cause a scene, doesn't want to deal with it, so he's just like, he motions, get a chair for him, and they set up a chair for him. It's fantastic, right? He has a seat, all grinning while he's doing it. So it's good stuff. Anyway, the king begins his speech. Right in the middle of it, the queen shows up, all dressed in green. Now, this is a significant moment. This is basically, her call to arms. It's a big deal. She really is representing her house at this moment, and kind of calling them all out on the fact that, yes, I have the rightful heir, my son, not her, not this. Here it is. So we're gonna start a dividing line. The lines are gonna be drawn soon, and it's coming, right? And then as she walks in, we get the Clubfoot talking to his brother about how when the Hightower calls its banners to arms, they light the beacon, and the beacon glows green. And again, this is just foreshadowing what's going to happen in this next civil war, and the two sides of the conflict being that of the House Hightower and that of Rhaenyra and her family. And we'll get further into that. That's coming. Anyway, when she gets up to the table and she greets the princess, it's fantastic. She gives this very cordial congratulations on your wedding, betrothal. But then her look and the stare in her eyes is telling her, bitch, I know. I know. And then we see Rhaenyra, and the look on her face is, oh shit, she knows. It's just good stuff. Fantastic. And again, I'm going to be very sad in the fact that this is the last episode with these characters. I mean, as far as I can tell. Last episode with these two actresses, I'm sorry. And it's a shame, because really enjoying their performance. Anyway, we see Sir Royce, as the party goes on, comes up, and he accuses Daemon of murder right in front of the king. Pretty bold accusation. And then Daemon, of course, turns it around and begins to tell him how he's planning to come and claim his rightful heir since they didn't have any kids. And again, this is such an awesome scene because it shows driving home that Daemon, he really just does whatever he wants, And this kind of goes for the Targaryen, house in general. They think they can get away with pretty much whatever they want, and often they do. So here we are again, once again, seeing that, we now know the truth of it, that he killed his wife. And he just is going to spin it to whatever he needs to. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. So as the dance goes on, we see the gay snake's lover start to piece together the triangle, the scandal, I should say. And that is Kristen Cole and being quote-unquote cunt-struck and just totally fucked up over Rhaenyra. Just can't help himself, right? And you can see they keep cutting to him. He's over in the corner, eyes wide, brooding, very just staring at her and stuff. Just kind of freaking out, right? You can tell that he's not well. So then the gay snake goes over to... the gay snake's lover goes over to talk to Sir Kristen Cole about the situation. And how, this isn't all bad. We can make this work. But he does say something that could be maybe misconstrued as a threat, because he talks about keeping everyone safe in this scenario. And I think that could be what sets Cole off. And the fact that everybody knows that something that everyone shouldn't know, this guy walking up to him, talking about it, it probably sets the hinge loose, right? So anyway, cuts back to the dance scene, and we have Daemon and Rhaenyra, and this is one of my favorite parts of the episode, because he begins to ask her, like, is this what you really want? And she's like, what the fuck? You said it yourself. Marriage is just, it's a political arrangement, And then she begins to call him out on his bullshit. And he's like, if you really are everything that you say, or, the way that you act, then you would strike my father's Kingsguards down, abduct me, take me to Dragonstone, and wed me for your future wife and queen. And I just love this shit, because, she's so badass. And just calling him out on his shit, and you can see that he's so fucked up about it. He wants to. He knows that, that's just a terrible idea. But at the same time, it is exactly what he wants to do. But is it? Not really. He wants it handed to him. He doesn't want to go through all that. He doesn't really want to slight his brother. So it's an interesting, just a brilliant dynamic, and very interesting to watch. And I can't wait to see where it goes, because, god damn it, it's good. So, as this happens, we get this excellent exchange. Again, all in High Valyrian, by the way. And these two actors, I love the chemistry between them. It's a shame that she's not going to be in this anymore, because she really grew on me, right? I wasn't so sure at first. Those first couple episodes, I was like, oh no, but no, she's brilliant, right? So anyway, we get a woman's scream, and then a whole tussle breaks out, rumble, and you can't make out what's happening. The camera's very shaky, and again, I think this is deliberate on the writers and showrunners' part, is that, part of that book that this is based on, Fire and Blood, and it's in the dark back there, you can't see it, but it's kind of ambiguous. It's an unreliable narrative. You don't know what the exact truth is. It's being told to you it's a recount of a maester's, he's writing the book, but it's also a septum's and a jester's account. So it's like three different sources, but also the writer's interpretation. So it's vague. It's left to interpretation, which, that part of the show has begun to elaborate that for us, which is something that I really like. I think that's great that they've gone further into detail as to what exactly happened, or actually given us the events flat out before us. But then again, here and there, they have moments like this where we don't see who started the fight, what exactly is going on out there, what caused the woman to scream like she did, and then it just cuts to a close-up of the tussle, and it's Kristen Cole, Sir Kristen Cole, and the gay snake's lover. He pulls a knife, He breaks the gay snake's lover's arm, and then proceeds to break his face in, and it is just horrific to watch. It's just horrible to see. There's some good prosthetics. If I don't know how they did it. I mean, it had to have been a dummy, because you can see him wailing on it, and the whole time he's unhinged. He's screaming at in rage because he just lost it, right? And he breaks his face in. It's awful to see, just awful. And then we get some really quick cuts in succession, and it kind of is hard to piece together what exactly goes down, because next we have a wedding ceremony with just the immediate family, the House Targaryen and House Velaryon. And, no one else. It's just the immediate family. And we see the queen is there, but then this is also intercut with Sir Criston Cole in the Godswood with his knife ready to seppuku, ready to kill himself, ready to do himself in. So did that happen after the wedding? Before the wedding? Did that happen, and this is the other thing that I wonder, everyone saw him bash this dude's face in, right? That's a crime that you're not going to hold him accountable, in some form or another, imprison him or something? What exactly, what the fuck is happening? It just cuts to these next two scenes, and we're just supposed to accept it. But, I mean, I'm not necessarily complaining. I like the presentation, but I just don't. There needed to be more elaboration. Whatever we get in the next episode, I don't think it'll be it, because it appears to be another time jump. So I don't know. It leaves a couple of things unanswered, the sequence of events. Did the Criston Cole go out to the Godswood to kill himself after they were wed? Did that happen immediately after he bashed the dude's face in and the queen was out there? Is that happening at the same time? Is the queen in two places at once? I don't know. Maybe you can answer in the comments below, or maybe I just missed something, or maybe it even doesn't matter. Maybe it happened afterwards and it just doesn't matter. But again, if the dude murdered this guy in front of everyone, clearly we got evidence of it happening. Everyone witnessed it, shouldn't he be held accountable? I mean, regardless of... I don't know. They can spin it whatever way they want. He pulled the knife. He had to kill... whatever. We'll see what they say, right? But it's really drumming up. The implication, everything that's going forward, whether or not she drank that Plan B tea and the kids that she's going to have. Because remember, Criston Cole, he's got dark hair. He's a white dude. Her husband... he's not a white dude, and he's got blonde hair. So those kids that she's going to have, they're not going to look like they're his. And clearly not going to look like they're his, right? So, yeah, and I don't think she took the tea. So, this show, good stuff. We got 5 more episodes, and so far it's been excellent. I only see it ramping up. If the conflict continues this way, I want to see more dragons, and obviously that bit. But yeah, it's fun. I finally have a decent show to look forward to every week. Sorry these reviews took me so long. I'm gonna try to get things out in a more timely manner. But if you made it through all of this, thank you guys, and I'll see you soon. Have a good day.